Love and intimacy don't stop as we get older. This might surprise some people, but it's true. The need for connection, affection, and closeness stays with us throughout life. Yet, in our society, we don't often talk about it. Especially when it comes to older people, we tend to ignore the subject altogether. Love, intimacy, and the deep desire to connect are often seen as things that belong to the young. But that's simply not the case. Love and intimacy are ageless. They change. Yes, but they don't disappear. So why do we stay quiet about this? Why don't we hear stories of older people experiencing love, forming new connections, and rediscovering intimacy? Today, we're going to change that. We're going to hear real stories from people who have lived long lives and are still finding new ways to love and be loved. Let's start by meeting Isabel, an 82-year-old woman who thought she'd left romance behind. Isabel was married for 45 years before her husband passed away, and for a long time she believed her days of love were over. She was content in her routine, gardening, spending time with her grandchildren, and enjoying her quiet life. But life had other plans. At a local gardening event, Isabel met Joaquin, a retired musician. He was warm, funny, and charming, but Isabel never thought much of it at first. To her, romance was something from the past, a chapter of her life that had closed. But slowly, as they spent more time together, Isabel began to feel something she hadn't felt in a long time. At first, I didn't think it was possible, Isabel recalls with a smile. I thought love was behind me. But with Joaquin, it felt different. It wasn't the same kind of love I had when I was younger. It was quieter, more peaceful. But it was just as real. Joaquin, a soft-spoken man with kind eyes, adds, "When you're older, love isn't about rushing into things or being swept off your feet. It's about taking your time, getting to know someone, and finding joy in the simple things." With Isabel, I feel like I've found a companion for this stage of my life. We talk, we laugh, we share our stories, and that's what makes it special. Isabel and Joaquin's story shows us something important. Intimacy isn't just about physical closeness. As we get older, intimacy becomes more about emotional connection, about understanding each other deeply. It's about spending time together, talking, and sharing experiences. For Isabel and Joaquin, it's not about grand gestures or fireworks, but about the comfort they find in each other's company. Then there's Clara, a 76-year-old woman who lost her husband after 50 years of marriage. For Clara, intimacy has taken on a completely different meaning. After her husband passed, she didn't look for a new partner. Instead, she turned inward and began a journey of self-discovery. "After my husband died, I felt lost," Clara explains. "I had spent so many years caring for him, for our family, that I didn't really know who I was on my own. It was a strange feeling, being alone after all those years. But slowly, I started to find a new kind of intimacy, one with myself." For Clara, this new intimacy means spending time in solitude, learning to enjoy her own company, and nurturing herself in ways she hadn't before. "I take long walks," she says. "I journal, I garden, I cook meals just for myself. I've learned to appreciate these quiet moments. I've learned to love myself in a way I never did before." Clara's story is a powerful reminder that intimacy isn't always about being with someone else. It can also be about the relationship we have with ourselves. As we grow older, it becomes more important than ever to take care of our emotional and mental well-being. And sometimes, that means learning to be comfortable in our own company. But intimacy can take many forms. For Pedro and Lucia, who have been married for over 55 years, intimacy looks very different now than it did when they were young. They laugh as they talk about how their relationship has evolved over the decades. "When we were young, it was all about excitement and passion," Pedro says with a chuckle. "Now it's about the little things, like bringing her tea in the morning or sitting together in silence. It's about the comfort of knowing that she'll always be there, and I'll always be there for her." Lucia nods in agreement. "It's not that the passion is gone," she says with a smile. "We still have our moments, but now it's more about companionship. We've been through so much together, raising children, losing loved ones, growing old. Our love has changed, but it's deeper now. It's about knowing each other so well that we don't even need words sometimes. That's a kind of intimacy that only comes with time." Pedro and Lucia's story reminds us that intimacy changes as relationships grow. The fiery passion of youth may fade, but it's replaced by something even more meaningful, a deep, unspoken connection built on years of shared experiences. It's the comfort of knowing someone inside and out, of being there for each other through thick and thin. And yet, despite all of this, society still hesitates to talk about love and intimacy in older people. Why is that? Why do we live in a world that glorifies youth and overlooks the rich, complex relationships that older people experience? Perhaps it's because we've been conditioned to associate love and romance with youth, beauty, and physical attraction. But love is so much more than that. As we've seen from these stories, intimacy doesn't disappear with age. It changes, it grows, it deepens. Whether it's with a partner, with yourself, or with a longtime spouse, the need for connection remains. Love, in all its forms, is something we all need, no matter how old we are. So let's start a conversation. Let's break the silence and celebrate the fact that love and intimacy are ageless. Let's honor the experiences of older people who are still finding new ways to love, connect, and experience intimacy. If these stories resonated with you, or if they made you think differently about love and aging, we'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you or someone you know experienced love later in life? Do you have a story to share? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Let's keep the conversation going and continue to explore the beautiful, complex world of love and intimacy at every stage of life. This version expands even further on the characters' stories, explores different forms of intimacy, and deepens the emotional impact while maintaining a simple conversational tone. It opens up the conversation around love and aging in a thoughtful, engaging way.